Welcome to the Sensitive Mind, and if you click this video, you may be wondering in a nutshell what exactly shadow work is. Why are so many people talking about it? And what is the purpose for shadow work, and what do people hope to gain from it? So, if you are curious about this topic and you want some insight, then keep watching. So, on my channel, I talk a lot about the shadow and darkness. In fact, in my last video called The Psychology of Vampires, I explained a little bit about what the shadow is. So, if you've seen that, good. If you haven't and you don't have any general idea of what the shadow is, I am going to explain what that is once again. So essentially, a shadow is the parts of ourselves that is hidden, even from our own eyes. Now, you may be wondering, well, how can parts of myself be hidden, even from myself? Well, the truth is, we go through life with so many responsibilities. We have uh, people to impress, we have work or school, whatever the case may be. We have a extroverted self that we put into effect to take care of our day-to-day lives, and this part of ourself is called the sun. It can be seen as the sun. It is our conscious mind, our conscious awareness that is active throughout the day. Also, we can have the tendency to put on a mask, which is called the persona, to either impress people, to get a certain reaction out of someone, whatever the case may be. We develop a sort of mask that we put on and show to the outside world to take care of our day-to-day things and activities, and this can result in us developing a false identity. There may be some days that you wake up and you don't even know who the hell you are because of this. The truth is, the way that our society has told us to live has severely numbed us to the unconscious parts of ourselves, to our intimacy, to just ourselves. And as a result, a lot of people are very ungrounded and very out of touch with themselves. We're ignorant to our own desires, to our intuition, to our anger, to our sexuality, to our subconscious programming. We rarely ever take the time to just breathe and come into contact with these parts of ourselves that don't speak as loudly as our conscious mind does. And getting in touch with these parts of ourselves can take a little bit of effort, hence the reason it is called the shadow. Now, this is a concept that was developed by Carl Jung, and basically the shadow is the part of ourselves that we repress, we either reject or hide or deny as part of our personalities. Now, the shadow isn't a bad side of you. It's more of just the parts of yourself that you have pushed out of awareness, that your conscious mind has pushed out of awareness, that your ego refuses to look at or see. Like I said, we have a persona, we have a ego, which is the sun. We have that conscious personality. So it's like your persona, your mask is right here, and the sun is in the middle. What's behind the sun is your shadow, your unconscious parts of yourself, which is all the yucky, uh, shameful, and repressed parts of our nature that we deny. For example, if you are taught that good people don't get angry, you might repress your anger. If you grew up in a church and you were told um, girls can't be too sexual or boys can't be too sexual, you might have developed some shame around your sexuality and your desire. If you were told not to be too selfish, then you might repress your own needs and desires just for the sake of others. Now, these qualities don't necessarily disappear. They become a part of your shadow. Now, the shadow can also contain positive aspects. For example, someone might have a very aggressive or assertive side of themselves that they don't show because they were taught to hide that. So, in simple terms, shadow work is the process of tuning inwards to bring awareness to those parts of yourselves that your conscious identity has pushed out of awareness. And the purpose is to understand how they affect you and how you can transform them. This brings me to the next part of my video, which is, well, how do you do shadow work? And this is the part where people can make it complicated. Shadow work is intended to bring those darker aspects of yourself into the light so that you can either transform them, you can integrate them, and accept them. Because if you don't, then these darker parts of your personality can and will come out to haunt you, and they can also continue to sabotage your life and your relationships, which I kind of consider integration and transformation to be a little bit of the same thing. So, if there are parts of yourself that you reject, think of it like a snake shedding its skin. A lot of times we talk about shifting into a new identity or adopting a new personality, like, hey, this is a new me. This is a new person that I'm going to be from here on out, whatever the case may be. In order to shift into that new you, you first have to shed the old layers that you thought were you. You have to shed those old versions of you. And the only way for you to do it is to learn about your shadow and integrate it so that you can transform those parts of yourself and begin anew and become a superior version of you. And you become a superior version of you via transforming the shadow. Essentially, that is what the goal of shadow work is. That is what people hope to gain from it. These things that we repress or we deny by ourselves, they're not there to hurt us. They're really there to empower us. And if you do the work, if you start learning more about yourself, you can gain empowerment and awareness. Now, first of all, the very first thing that you need to know about doing shadow work first is awareness. And you come into awareness of those parts of yourself simply just by being grounded and in touch with yourself and noticing small things. How do you react to certain people or situations? What kind of triggers do they throw at you? Do you have any shame around your sexuality? If something challenging happens or if life throws you a curveball, what is your first reaction to it? Do you usually say, oh, this sort of thing always happens to me, or I have such bad luck? If you have that sort of reaction to something like that, that probably means that you're running a self-doubt program. So it's really not hard to bring these things into awareness about yourself. A lot of different methods that you could use are journaling, meditation, or just simply sitting in silence and reflecting on your day. Shadow work usually requires lots and lots of alone time. Now, a lot of people don't like the sounds of that, but if you really want to get to know you and want to get to know the hidden parts of yourselves, then you will take that time out to just be by yourself and Just study your thoughts, study how you're feeling when you're not around people. Learn who you are when you're not in a crowd. Learn who you are when you're not around friends or your family or whoever. The next process in shadow work is acceptance. Think of it like alchemy. In old times, the alchemist would transform lead into gold. Now, first things first is before they got these drastic, fantastic results, they first had to find the lead. Essentially, if you want to heal and get better and become more powerful and more aware, you first have to accept these uncomfortable truths about yourself, because you cannot transform something that you don't have. Acceptance is the very first step in transformation. The next part is shifting, aka transformation. Now, there are many different ways for you to transform your shadow. I have personally seen some crazy stuff, crazy methods on the internet on how to do shadow work. I've seen people talk about doing uh, ice baths with copper pyramids that you need to meditate and ascend. And it's not going to get into details about that, but the key to this whole process is you do not need anything extravagant. You don't need any special crystals or herbs or books to do this thing. You just need a willingness to want to know and work on yourself, and acceptance and following your intuition. Now, shadow work can be as simple or as complicated as you make it. You can look up different methods of uh, how to do shadow work, but coming up with your own ritual or your own practice is what's going to give you the best results. That being said, I'm going to throw out some examples here. If you are a very visual person, if you have the gift of clairvoyance, then visual methods could work for you. For example, you can do like um, guided meditations. You can find guided meditations on YouTube, uh, targeted at whatever specific area that you want to work on. There's so many different guided meditations that you can do. If you're not a very visual person, then absolutely working through a journal can be helpful. Some people do breath work, some people do Reiki, some people work with the chakras. Really, there's no perfect or wrong way to do shadow work. You kind of just have to explore and really see what's out there and what works for you. I will say this though, getting started is going to be the most important part of your shadow work journey. If you're the type of person who procrastinates and you're trying to wait on the certain crystal or a journal, herbs, whatever the case may be, again, you don't need all that fancy stuff. Just getting started is what's most important. Even if you don't have any psychic gifts, you can use feeling. Everyone is capable of feeling. Feeling your way through this work is going to be the most important part of doing this work. Feeling and knowing that you are elevating yourself, that you're transforming yourself, that you're healing, and uh, feeling the desired results is what's going to get you to where you want to be. Feeling and knowing that you're transforming is where the magic is. Another thing is, if you have guides or if you believe in that sort of thing, you can include them in your shadow work. You can also include your higher self in your shadow work to help guide you. That's going to be really beneficial and helpful. Now, obviously, shadow work is a very vast topic, so I won't be able to cover everything that I would like to in this video because I don't want it to be too long, but I will be making a sequel and just going in some more depth about this. I will also be working on a shadow work guide that will be available in my Etsy store and soon coming to my Patreon. So if you are interested in that, definitely stay tuned. Like this video if you found it helpful and you gained some insight and wisdom. Subscribe. I will definitely love to see you back on another video. And thank you for watching.